Hello, I'm Rhonda Valentine with the Crystal Williams team at Keller Williams Realty. I am here with Dennis Fields. He's a loan officer with Guaranteed Rate. So I would like to speak with Dennis today to help some of our buyers become a little bit more familiar with the market and to help better prepare themselves to purchase maybe their first home or even their second home. So Dennis, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first I want to ask you, what would you recommend a buyer do when they want to purchase a home first? Should they call you first? Should they get online and begin searching for an online lender? What do you recommend?
So definitely one of the first things that somebody should do is to get pre-approved.
Yes.
So they should be speaking with the lender first so that they know exactly what they qualify for. As far as like going online, I would work with a local person versus going online because you never know what you're going to get, especially if you're looking to use any type of assistance funds, because a lot of the programs will require somebody to be local or have some education locally in order to utilize their program. So I would definitely use somebody local, get pre-approved, starting out with the process.
Excellent. And since you mentioned having some form of assistance, would you recommend that a buyer, first-time buyer, have any assets or anything saved up, or should they solely depend on the down payment assistance they may receive from a program?
Great question, because that comes up often. And so one thing that people have to remember is that any down payment assistance funds that you receive is coming at the end of the process. So you're gonna need some money up front. As the agent, you're gonna need some earnest money, some due diligence money. You're gonna need to pay for some inspections. So they definitely need to have some funds up front because any assistance funds they're gonna get, that's gonna come at the very end.
Excellent answer. Also, is there any advice you could give to a first-time home buyer as far as structuring their offer? Would you give them information such as, hey, I would recommend that you put down this amount of money or you give this amount just to kind of sweeten the deal?
So it's a really competitive environment right now because it's a seller's market. And so what I would advise all first-time home buyers is to go completely through the process when you get pre-approved. So what I mean by that is when you get pre-approved, you can provide your loan officer with information like, how long you've been in your residence, your income, your assets. You can provide that information to them. But everything gets real when you actually provide documents. And so what I would advise is, provide all of the documentation that will be required to get through that loan process, because most lenders have a process, we call it a TBD process, where we can get you completely through underwriting, get you completely approved pending things like getting your title work done, getting your appraisal completed, and satisfying any other minor conditions that may come along. And so I would advise any first-time home buyer to go through that process because, especially in this market, that will give them an opportunity to get their offer placed up front.
Yes.
Because if a seller knows that you can close your loan in, let's say, 15 days versus 30 or 45 days, then that's more attractive to them. So definitely go through the entire process. I mean, as far as tips, one thing that I'm helping some of my clients do in this market is, if they have a limited amount of funds, there are things that your lender can do to help you get the property that you want. So for example, we know that a lot of properties right now are selling above asking price.
Yes.
And so as a lender, one of my concerns is the appraisal. Will that property appraise for the price that it's being sold for? And one of the ways that we can mitigate that is by utilizing the loan to help with the process. So for example, if a property is being sold for $200,000, but it appraises, let's say, for $197,000, the lender's only going to give the lower of the contract price or the appraised value.
Right.
So that means that $197,000. So there's a $3,000 gap that has to be covered by the buyer from their own funds. One of the things that I can do as a lender is, if you qualify for a certain rate, maybe if we push that rate up a little bit higher, that's going to create some money on the back end to cover some other closing costs.
Yes.
And so the cash that you have in hand, you can use that to cover that $3,000 gap. So little tips like that, working with a person that understands the market and understands how to work around situations, always helps. So that would be something that a lender can help with a buyer.
Excellent information. Dennis Fields, again, is with Guaranteed Rate. He has offered us excellent information for our first-time home buyers. So, Dennis, thank you so much for calling or coming in to see us.
Thank you for having me.